So today I'm going to share the two ways how we can use this distillation module over here in eDistillery. The first one is of course the way we break down into runs, the first run and the second run. These two runs are eventually the base product for the same, for example, say vodka. All right. So that's all good till here. Okay. What we did is I just created an example raw material, example cider with 490 liters. That is 490 liters of 90% alcohol. Yeah. Now I'm going to go to the distillation module. I'm going to create another distillation. I'm going to use first one. Yeah. So I'm going to select the date just as an example. I'm not taking anything else into consideration. Just as an example, I'm going to use from the example container the raw material example cider. I'm going to use 10 liters for the first run. Now I'm going to start. That's going to be 10 liters of 90% example cider raw material from the example container. Let's just proceed. Here it is, the base product. What I've transferred to the still for distillation is 10 liters of 90%. Now I'm going to finish this. I'm going to neglect the tails. I'm not going to consider it right now. Just using the heads, for example, we've used 9 lulls. We're going to take 0.5% of 80% heads and 8.25% of 95% hearts. If you want to dilute, you can dilute. Otherwise, go ahead. We took 9 liters, transferred nine lulls to 10 liters of 90% into the still, and the outcome after the distillation is 8.24 lulls, including the heads and the hearts. Now we go ahead, finish this distillation. So now you see you in this list we only get containers that are empty, these four, and otherwise we see containers that contains first run heads only, because we cannot move the heads of first run with the heads of the second run, or we cannot move the heads of the first run with the hearts or tails of first run. So what we see in this list is empty containers and first run heads, first run head. That's all what we get. We cannot do the mixing all over the system. If we want to mix this, we're going to use this bulk production module. There we are allowed to use anything, mix anything, and to eventually prepare our final product. Yeah, that is a different section. That gives you the leverage to mix anything. Here we can't do that. Let's just transfer this to holding tank 150. Mix it with the first one already containing this. Just as an example, don't go on numbers, don't go on containers. Just as an example, I'm showing you. And use this 1000 liters empty container raw IBC. Now we get 8.25 liters and 0.5 liters head. Now we move. So we transferred into raw IBC the heads and the holding tank 150 heads. Okay, just remember that. Now we're gonna go distillation. Now we're going to do the second run. We're going to redistill this thing. The second run, the date, directly the container, nothing else I'm mixing. I'm just showing you an example. So there was example cider. Now there was raw IBC, this one, first one. Now we're gonna redistill this first one, and now we're doing the second one. We just take 5 liters out of it, and the remaining 3.25% we leave it. We're just using transferring 5 containers for the second run into the still. Let's go ahead and mix it. Start distillation. Sorry, 5 liters of 95% from raw IBC, the first run. Now we're redistilling it. Let's go proceed. Now we finish this. Sorry, tails not required. Heads we take liters. Now consider it 0.5 liters of 80% and 3.9 liters or maybe 4 liters of 95%. Now you see again, we only get heads of second run. We don't get the heads of the first run. This is the container. Sorry, this one, holding tank 150. We don't get holding tank 150 in this list because we're bound to mix it with only the heads of the second run in the containers that contains this. So we only get this and the empty containers. Now, again, in the hearts, we only mix hearts with hearts of the second run, not the first run. We cannot do that. Just mix it, go ahead and move it. That's all done till here. Okay. Now we go to the statistics report section. We go down to distillations. Now we see this. We selected the list from here. This is the overview. And this is the list. We're going down to the list. We did these two distillations right now. These two distillations over here. Okay, so this was the first run, this was the second run. All good till here, yeah? Now I'm going to show you the second way of doing this.